And we're back.
Hey, guys.
Hey. Coming off of an exciting night of fights in Edmonton.
Yeah, Edmonton. What a fun place.
Very cold
Have they been there
place.
before?
I think so, but I think it's been a really long time.
Yeah.
They tend to go to like Vancouver and Toronto a little bit more.
Alberta? Is that a place in
That's
Canada?
That's Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they have been there before.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Cool.
just been a while.
It's been a while. Been a long time. Sorry. I thought that was mine.
Nope.
I'm like, where
I'm like,
is...
I need that.
Yeah. I'm like, why is that on my leg? All right. So we had some pretty exciting fights. It was a dull night at first. Like, I was a little worried because I was watching from the bottom to the top. And I'm like, I don't know if I can make it through this card. This is one of the first times when the prelims didn't outshine the main card.
It was a slow burn. It was a buildup.
Very slow.
As
They used every minute of time that they had before the main card started. Almost every minute. There was like maybe one, I think, finish on the prelims. Maybe one or two. But it was a long night before the main card started. But the finishes really made the night. And, I was really enjoying the Moreno fight too. I thought that fight was probably the best we've seen Moreno in a long time.
I thought he looked really good. His boxing, his range, his jab, his up jab, his uppercut, everything was just really nice. He was setting up Albazzi really nicely, and Albazzi was having a really hard time, getting into the pocket, getting in range for those takedowns. And when he did get in, Brandon made it look easy to shuck him off.
Yeah, it was. You could tell what Albazzi was thinking when they went through their game planning. You could tell that they were looking for the leg kicks. They were looking for that step in knee when Moreno starts to dip his head, and they were looking for the takedowns, and none of that stuff was there. Like Moreno did that typical thing where like you see on tape what is a guy's weakness, and you try to do it, you try to do it, but I feel like he didn't work enough on his own weaknesses in his come up to this fight. And I think the main problem with his attack was that his head was just on the center line the entire time.
I think that, to Brandon's credit, I think that he pushed Albazzi back so much that Albazzi didn't have an opportunity to have that forward offense to really set up takedowns. He was constantly on the defense, constantly being pushed back or met with that jab. And I mean, we do have to take into consideration Albazzi was out with some serious injuries. Mm-hmm. And at that level, to come back off of an injury that really puts you off of the mats for a long time, and rehab is extensive, to get right back in the mix with Brandon Moreno, that was a tall order. And I think that after this fight, he'll have a lot of good footage to look at what he needs to work on and improve from there. But that was a really big step, out of injury into competition.
Yeah, against someone who's just been fighting the best of the best and maybe showing holes in his game against the best of the best. Mm-hmm. So when you're coming in, you don't have that high level experience. You haven't really beaten anyone at that top level. You think you can pull off the same things that these other guys can. And suddenly you realize, oh, that's harder than it looks. Mm-hmm. It's harder than it looks to take down Brandon Moreno, especially because every time you fight someone, it's going to be the best version of themselves until they start that decline. Uh-huh. And I think that was the biggest question, is Brandon Moreno on the decline? And because he's had a few losses, because he doesn't have the belt anymore, it's easy to assume that, but he's just been fighting the best of the best. And I think when you shake up that top of the division with the flyweights, when you shake that up, you're going to get a different outcome every time. If you're fighting Pantoja, if you're fighting Moreno, if you're fighting Royval, if you're fighting even Usyk, you're going to get a different result every time because they're so evenly matched. And I think Albazzi, even though he's performed really well against lower competition. You can see that he still needs to get those reps in there. He needs to get that cage time and that experience so he can pull off his game. He's always been kind of a slow starter too, and I thought that might hinder him a bit in this fight. And yeah, you could just see it when he would start to land. Moreno would start slipping and dipping and landing as he came up. And a lot of that stuff was really throwing him off, just missing things that usually land for him. Or going for takedowns and Moreno just scooting out of it and getting up, not taking a step, not like skipping a beat. He would just like, boom, butt hits the floor, he's popping up right away. And when you're fighting lower level competition, you get that takedown, you could probably take a second to be like, ooh, I got it. And then climb up on top of them, but not with someone like Moreno, not with someone that's scrambly, someone who has something to prove too. Like Brandon Moreno taking a fight with someone who's so much lower ranked than him. You go in there not just to prove something to people, but to prove something to yourself. You want to know that, hey, just because I've been losing every now and then to these top guys, it doesn't mean that I'm any less of a monster to everyone else. And I think he went in there with a really solid game plan, with a really good head on his shoulders. His chin looked good. His striking looked good. He was really aware of every attack that was coming. There was one check that he hit in maybe the fourth round. He checked like a calf kick, and it hurt me. Like, I was like, ooh, he's not throwing that calf kick anymore, because he just leaned into it perfectly, just like, hit the outside of the shin with the top of his knee. And little moments like that are what makes someone in the top 5 so much different from someone in the top like 15 to 6, like little things like that, being able to pick up on those moments. So I was really impressed with Brandon Moreno. I think a lot of people were counting him out. It was kind of one of those pick 'em fights where you're like, we're not sure who's going to show up, so it could go either way. But Moreno just reminded everyone what kind of beast he was. It was good to watch.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a nice win for him. He's definitely got his eye on the prize.
Yeah, and just a correction, there were 2 submissions in the prelims, but that was after 4 long-ass fights. 4 long-ass fights, including the heavyweight fight, Alexander Romanov and Rodrigo Nascimento. It basically looked like the 2 were staring at each other. It was a staring match more than a fight. So that one felt even longer, and there was a nut shot. So it was like a 30-minute fight. So after that, we had 2 submissions, and the rest of the card was pretty crazy. So yeah, it was just a slow start.
It'll
It
do
was
you.
tough.
It'll erase your memory. It'll confuse you with what actually happened. It happens all the time.
Why are we
Like,
stuck?
this is the longest weekend of my life.
We're stuck in a vortex. Time has stood still. Edmonton is asleep. So yeah, I really enjoyed that fight. What do you think is next for Brandon Moreno after a performance like that?
Well, I mean, it puts him right back up in the mix. I think because he has, he's been kind of on a skid, or, hasn't gotten the belt back. I think that but I think it puts him back in the mix, like the number 1 or 2 spot for who's next in line. Let me pull up the rankings really fast.
Yeah, his last loss was Pantoja, but I think his last loss was Royval. It was a really close fight with that one. But he had 2 losses recently, Royval and Pantoja, both really good guys. So yeah, I mean,
I kind of want to see them put him against Kai Kara France, because I don't think that they'll give him, because they have Royval in the queue after this next title defense, or this next title challenge. I think that Royval pleads a better case for next in line. But I think that after Kai Kara France's last fight against Usyk, God damn it, Usyk.
Oh, okay. I was like, who?
I was like, our friend, our old grappling coach.
I'm like, who the
No. I think after what he did to Usyk a couple months ago, I think that I'd really like to see Brandon Moreno against Kai Kara-France.
So that would be their third time fighting.
I know, but I want to see it.
And Moreno's 2-0.
It just makes. See, that's what I mean.
How about,
like, it's so hard.
How about Moreno versus Usyk? That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, but Usyk just lost.
Yeah,
badly.
Yeah, just throw Moreno another bone. Get him a Mexico City fight. Get him out of accolades. Usyk isn't going to turn it down. Moreno might be interested. It was a good couple seconds of a fight before he got knocked out. So I think I don't know. It's a weird one because when you bring in these guys, I mean, he could just fight for the title or win or lose fight that the Japanese guy who's coming in, Asakura.
Yeah.
Like maybe that could be his next fight, win or lose between Asakura and Pantoja.
Well, if
That might be
Asakura
interesting.
loses, I could see them being paired up.
Yeah, I could see that too. But it would make a case for Moreno because it won't be a rematch if he wins. It won't be a rematch, and he's right up there in the top of the list.
Or we could even do Tyra. Do you think that they would give Tyra and Moreno a chance?
What was his last fight?
Tyra fought Roval and lost a decision.
Yeah. I don't know. Was that one super close? I don't know.
Nah, I mean, yes and no. No, it was competitive.
It was competitive,
but
close.
Roval just showed that he's a veteran.
Yeah, it was he raw dogged him, I remember now. It was
as he does.
He just raw dogged. He just raw dogged his way to that fight. I mean, that it's hard to deny Royval that spot too for the winner. But I would be interested in seeing Tyra trying to make a comeback against Moreno. I think just because it's decision, maybe that would be a decision loss that he had. It would be more likely than Usyk. But I don't know. I feel like Usyk kind of slid in under the radar. Same with that Asakura guy. And there's a lot of guys who are willing to jump in there and fight.
Yeah, it's hard. The top five are just it's like everybody's dated everyone. It's like
what about
1 degree of separation?
I know, right? It's
like dating in Hawaii.
It's what do you call it? They're all Eskimo brothers.
Yes. Yeah.
What about Manel Kopp? Who's he fought recently?
He just fought Makayev. He was pantsed during the fight.
He was pants. Yeah, that was a really weird fight, though. I feel like that wasn't totally a loss just because of how weird it was.
It was a weird one. I don't know. He's almost to the top five, but I don't know. I don't know who I would put Kopp against.
I would be interested in seeing Kopp versus Moreno. I think it would be an exciting fight. There's like a lot of dangers there for him because he hits hard. He likes to move. He's also kind of a slow starter, which Moreno could capitalize on, but he can't let his guard down. So I'd be interested in seeing Starboy try to take Moreno out because Moreno is
dropping all the way down to number 8.
Yeah, but he just fought. What was it? That guy's ranked pretty low that he just fought.
Yeah, true. Fair.
It was like 12 or something, or 11.
No.
Was
he not even ranked?
Nah, he was ranked.
Oh, he was number 3.
Number 3?
My bad.
How is he number 3?
I know, with the long layoff, they kept him up in the rankings.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So, okay, maybe he won't drop down that low, but I'd like to see it happen. And what I was going to say is Moreno's in this weird position where he's fought everyone at the top. He doesn't have the belt. He's not going to get the opportunity to fight the next biggest star until they lose if they're on their way to a title shot. So you end up with the Tatsuda Tairas. You end up with Royval a million times. You end up with, you know what I mean? So he's in a spot where he is going to have to take a few fights at a lower rank in order to just keep that spot up there.
Sure.
But I think there'll be showcase fights. I think there'll be like Mexico City fights or, even fights down here in SoCal where you're going to have huge Moreno turnouts, huge Moreno fan turnouts. And
they love him down here.
Yeah, I think you could put Brandon Moreno on any card and he could headline whether there was a belt on the line or not. So even if he's taking these fights that are more exciting than actually meaningful for bringing him up and getting him closer to the title, he'll be taking those fights to stay right there and be that guy. Because as soon as he gets a streak going, he's going to fight the next person, even if it's somehow figure-8 for the 5th time or the 6th time.
Well, it won't be him because he's up at bantamweight now.
Exactly. But I mean, if somehow he loses an arm and decides to continue to fight and gets the title, which I wouldn't be surprised he could do, that's a possibility. And we'd be here to watch it. Yeah, and then for Albazzi, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking he'll probably drop in rankings closer to the bottom end of the top 10. And I think you could put him.
You think that far?
Yeah, I do. Just because I don't know how he was still up after a long layoff at 3. So I think he'll drop a few spots, and I think he could fight somebody like 5 through 10. Maybe no, I don't think they would give him Charles Johnson. Although you never know.
They give Charles Johnson. Albazzi is the typical fight that Charles Johnson gets matched against.
Yeah.
So if they gave him that, I'd be super excited for him because it's a winnable fight. It's definitely a winnable fight for anyone who can mix it up, who can wrestle with him, who can avoid his power shots, and who could put on a pace like Johnson did in his last fight. I think that was super impressive. And I think there's a lot of flyweights that have been grinding outside of the rankings that I think will be able to really showcase once they get in there and get the opportunity to mix it up with those guys at the top.
I have a sneeze on the tip of my nose, and I'm trying not to. I'm sorry. It's very distracting.
Yeah, I was like, anything else?
No, I'm sorry. I'm really trying to manage it right now.
Oh, yeah. While you work on that sneeze.
You know what's sticking out to me a little bit is Tim Elliott. I haven't seen him fight in a minute. I think he would be.
He just lost to somebody.
Who did he just lose to?
Let's see. Let's see here. He just lost. Oh wait, no, he just beat Suma Dairiji with an arm triangle. Not familiar with that guy, but he lost to Makayev. That's what I was thinking of in 2023, and then the win was in December 2023. He was supposed to fight Tatsuda Taira, and it got canceled.
That would have been a fun one, and
I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I feel like if he's not matched up, I feel like that one would be a good one for Albazzi. Yeah. And even for Charles, since we're talking about him. Yeah. I'm really excited to see what he does, like moving up the ladder.
What's Tim Elliott ranked at?
11.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of fun fights for Charles. And Albazzi moving around in that flyweight division. But in the female flyweight division, we had Rose versus Blanchfield. And a few people were debating.
I had Rose winning 3 rounds.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I had Blanchfield winning 3.
Yeah, I had Rose. I gave Rose the 4th. Just because I thought, even though Blanchfield came out like a bat out of hell in that round, she came out really strong. She still wasn't landing. She was doing the charge, but they weren't connecting. And I think Rose was landing the sharper, crisper punches and doing a really good job just keeping that distance, sticking, moving, fending off the takedown. I thought Blanchfield came alive in the 3rd with the takedown and then in the 5th. So I had it 3-2 for Rose. What did you think?
I thought Blanchfield won the fourth pretty convincingly. I thought she landed more on the feet. Even though she wasn't able to get the takedown, it looked like she was visibly annoying Rose. And Rose wasn't able to answer back as much as she had in the first couple of rounds. I felt like Rose got a lot more flat on her feet in that round. She was there to get hit a lot more. There were a lot of moments where Blanchfield would hit her with the 1-2 and pop out, and Rose was like whiffing on a punch as she was popping out. And I feel like moments like that, when you're thinking of, okay, who's winning the most moments, when you're thinking of a combination like a volley in like tennis or whatever, whoever is able to land that last shot is the person who really stands out as a winner of that moment. And I felt like Blanchfield was doing more with that. Even when it just comes to damage, it looked like Blanchfield was landing more damage in that round as opposed to all the other ones that she was trying to throw with. And yeah, in the third, she came out like really fiery, really like intentional with her striking, but I felt like she was eating just as much as she was landing. But getting that takedown, I felt got her the third round too. So I feel like people were kind of debating the third, but not really. But most people were debating the fourth. And for me, just watching the fourth, I'm like, if with the sound off, no commentary, it looked like Blanchfield was winning. Like, it looked like she was doing more damage. She was definitely landing more volume. And Rose wasn't as elusive on her feet. She wasn't making her miss as much. She was defending the takedowns well, but in order to defend the takedown, she was getting hit with like punches and kicks too. I just thought I did think that the commentary wasn't giving Blanchfield a lot of credit for what she was landing, because it was obviously making a difference in the fight. But it was really clear that Rose was winning those exchanges in the first two.
I see your point of view. I just thought that it was more of the same in the fourth as I saw in the first and second. Yes, Rose slowed down a little bit, and Blanchfield was really like putting it on with the cardio and with the volume. I just thought that Rose was doing enough to control it. And then, but I mean, hats off to Blanchfield. She came out and she was very assertive. She made adjustments, which I didn't see her make in her previous outing with Manon.
Yeah.
And so it was a big leap in growth that I saw from her in the octagon that night.
Yeah, I think that kick was really doing something for her. Like that left high kick that she likes to throw. We've seen her drop people with it before, and there's definitely some power on it. Most of them were blocked. She landed one, I think, in the second round or something. But most of the kicks were blocked, but what it did was it shut down Rose's right arm. And what Rose likes to do is kind of similar to Moreno. She likes to dip with the punch. She likes to throw her combinations and really dip to land that power when she throws her right hand. And she was able to land it a few times. And those were the moments that won her the first and second. But I think she would have landed a lot more if Blanchfield wasn't throwing that kick up every now and then. And it was a weird, like, non-switch left kick. So she didn't show it when she would throw it. And a lot of times when Rose is about to dip in for that punch, she has to keep the arm there because that kick just comes out of nowhere. So I thought Blanchfield was really smart and sticking to the game plan with her striking. You could tell she's still not super comfortable on the feet. You can tell that, especially when she's on the defense side, she lets stuff get through. She does the weird like forearm block, the Wonder Woman forearm block, which you see a lot of people do who don't start with the striking background. But offensively, I felt like she did really good and just pushing the pace and doing what she could against someone who was so elusive, who's so good at cutting angles and getting out of the way and then coming back in with the punch. The takedown totally slowed Rose down and made her more in front of her and there to be hit in the fourth round. And I think that was the big game changer in that fight. But you know what I was screaming about? Rose got her down, or she what happened? She hit the hip throw.
She had a really nice harai.
She hit the nice harai against the fence. She got her down. She's on top of her. Blanchfield starts building up, and she lets her go. Then, in the third round, she shoots on her. Why?
Well, because that's what Rose does. She throws that right, and then she gets you thinking about the right, and then she comes in with the takedown. But Blanchfield was expecting it because Rose does that every single fight, and she was just ready for it.
So I'm just frustrated in the fact that she had her in a great position. Rose, even though she doesn't have the credentials that Blanchfield has on the ground, she had her in a great position where she could have done some damage. She could have stayed on top. She could have taken the back, hit her a little bit. Like, I felt like the possibility for her reversing that position where she's on all fours trying to build up against the fence where you could break her down, like she thought about it and then she let her go.
Maybe she felt something. Maybe she felt like a lot of strength, a lot of explosiveness, something that she just felt like she had a better advantage with striking.
But then she didn't feel it when she shot on her in the third round.
Maybe it was instinctive.
And I know that it's instinctive. And that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking, okay, she was getting pressured. What she does when she gets pressured is shoot. But she must have had some confidence in her grappling in that moment, as well as later on, I think in the fourth or the fifth round, when she shot on her too. So I just I feel like if that were me, I'd be beating myself up about not taking advantage of that moment. And it almost looked like she tried to right it by shooting on her there. Like maybe she felt, okay, I got her with that throw. I could have gotten on top of her. Let me do that again. And then she felt that defense and was able to, what'd you do?
It was so loud in my ear. I had to turn it down. Now you can't hear anything.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
It was yours.
Just stop touching stuff. Yeah, but it was just it's one of those moments where in my fights, I'm thinking I'm in the point of view as a fighter, I would have been thinking about that moment so much because it was a really great throw and she really could have done a lot of damage, taken a lot more of her confidence away. And I think after that round, Blanchfield just said, fuck it.
Yeah.
I can't play it safe anymore. I have to go forward. And I thought it was a great fight by both of them. I think if Rose was just a little more bouncy on her feet in the fourth round, it would have been more clear for her than Blanchfield. But that pressure and landing and her just being there to receive the shots for the first time in the fight, I think that made most people see it for Blanchfield.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I'm not screaming robbery. I'm not, mad at the decision. I just saw it a different way. Mm-hmm. And I saw, Rose coming out with her hand raised. But you know what? It mixes things up a little bit. It's a little bit of a setback for Rose, but not much. I could see, I don't see her really shifting in the rankings. And it's a question of what's next for Blanchfield as well. I could potentially see either one of them being matched up with Grasso if Blanchfield doesn't get next in line.
What did you think about her calling out Grasso and not Shevchenko?
It was a little weird, right?
Why?
Why aren't you just calling out for the title?
Why? You don't like money?
Maybe she doesn't know. Nobody's told her yet.
She knows.
Nobody's told her.
I get it though. Maybe she felt a little uncomfortable in there. Maybe she remembered the Furet fight. Maybe she still wants to feel what it feels like to get your feet wet against someone who she has more confidence out grappling.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Grasso's last fight, you see a path to victory for her, for sure.
Mm-hmm. But with Valentina, she got submitted that one time, but it really looks like she's tightened up her game so that will not happen again.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would be okay for Erin just because she's ranked so high, but she is still very young in the sport. She's young
crazy.
In competition years, which is very impressive what she's done in a short amount of time. I wouldn't be against her, climbing a little bit longer. I wouldn't be mad at seeing her against Grasso. I think that would be a good level up before she gets to a title shot.
I wouldn't be mad at it either. But you always gotta worry about being that number 2 spot, the number 1 spot, fighting someone you didn't have to fight, and then they win. Me.
It's just
But she has
the
time.
MMA math. Yeah.
She has time to reverse any mistakes that she might make in the future.
Yeah. I'd like to see Macy Barber and Rose finally meet. To be honest, after this one, I would like to see that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been waiting for that one.
Okay. I'd be down to see it. I wonder, because Macy Barber, she's had a lot of trouble making it to fights.
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess Rose takes a lot of time off too in between fights. So they'll probably link up. It could happen.
It
For
could.
sure.
It could.
For sure, that'd be fun.
We'll just patiently wait for it.
Yeah. Well, we have a bunch of fan questions, and these
Do
fans
we?
have been patiently waiting for us to get to
Well,
them.
let's not make them wait any longer.
Yeah, so let's see. What do we have? We got some fan questions on Instagram and on YouTube. And we'll start with the YouTube ones because y'all are the ones who really care about what we have to say. Living HC says, when will y'all sell merch? And will you come to LA for UFC 311 and meet with the fans?
Wow.
Yeah.
Great question.
Well, we should definitely get some merch in the store. I'll make that one of my goals for this month is to get like some t-shirts on. I think you got to get like a Shopify or something to make merch buyable through YouTube. But we'll figure it out. Definitely first step was getting something to wear for ourselves. So next step is that. And for UFC 311, I'm actually begging to get on that card. So hopefully we'll be able to meet with you fans there. 10 Steps Ahead podcast. Oh, 10 steps ahead of what? You guys were asking Jasmine Jasudavicius performance and who should she fight next. So we were actually going to talk about this one. She looked great.
She did. She was having a little bit of trouble in the first round, just eating a lot of punches against Da Silva, but she made the adjustment moving forward in the fight and ended up getting a really nice Darce.
Yeah.
She's a grinder, man.
Yeah, she's good.
She figures out a way to win.
And, I think that was really important for her to go through that first round because once she realized how available the takedowns were, and her confidence was so much greater in going for them. Like after that kick that she caught and she got the takedown there, then she kind of saw, oh, I'm strong.
Oh yeah,
This girl's gonna fly.
I gotta take downs.
and she landed in a good position where even though it looked like she was in danger for a second, she was able to use that and capitalize on it, land some good shots. In the next round, she was just able to get in there and get on top, get some big takedowns. Like that little single leg she got
It was a nice outside single.
so easy, so well timed, very little energy exuded to get the takedown, and then the big double leg that she got at the end, that was amazing. And the fact that it was so big really set up the fact that she was able to pass so fast because reaching in for that Darce, like she got that long arm energy. Like when you have long arms like that, you could really reach in. It was almost like she wasn't even past the knee yet, but that frame was trying to keep her away from getting on top, and she just reached her long ass arm in there, like Dowsum arms over there, was able to lock it up, get past, and get to her choke. So that was really impressive to see.
It was interesting because when she was in dominant top position, she was like kind of stuck in half guard and she really wasn't passing. So
I was wondering about that because it looked like she could have passed. And then at first I was thinking, okay, and then the commentary was saying it too, like, oh, maybe she just is enjoying hanging out there because there's less movement. It looks like it's making it easier for her to stay on top. But then it looked really uncomfortable.
Well, I feel like she just kind of lost sense of her back leg at a couple of points. She's like, it's fine. I don't need this. And she kept going. She was pinning Da Silva's arm nicely. And Cormier kept calling it a crucifix. It really wasn't necessarily a crucifix.
He couldn't see. He couldn't see the leg was stuck.
It was just, she's long and lanky and she was just utilizing all of her length
Yeah.
in very unexpected ways. So I thought that was kind of fun to watch. She made her body work for her in a really cool way, and then ended up making the adjustment for the Darce, and then it ended up helping her pass. And I think it was a really fun fight. I like the adjustment she makes in a fight. I like that she's just always game. Whether she wins or loses, she's coming forward and trying.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what she does next. Do you have like a fighter you'd like to see her up against?
Well, let's see. All right, so she's ranked number 14. We don't know where she's going to move, if she's going to make a move up. She'll probably switch positions.
I think,
with Da Silva.
Da Silva was 13, right, or
Yeah.
12?
Yeah, Da Silva was 13, and then up above them at 12 is Tracy Cortez.
Perhaps a rematch.
Maybe a rematch. Tracy Cortez was present at the fight, so you
did she
never
like
know.
what she saw?
I didn't see either way, but maybe you know what? I would really like to see her fight Amanda Hebus, who's ranked number 10.
Okay.
In flyweight. I think that would be a fun one.
Yeah, Hebus is fighting Jourdain in December. So,
well, gosh darn it.
So Hebus is one of those elusive.
Oh, she's playing.
One of those elusive fighters that get to just bounce around however they choose and take up spots in the rankings whenever they feel like it.
So nice.
But yeah, I'd definitely like to see Jasudavicius move up, fight someone. I wouldn't mind a Tracy Cortez rematch. I think Tracy has only lost to a couple people, and she's definitely a gamer. I think that would be a great matchup because they both have a wrestle heavy attack. Tracy is like pretty solid with the boxing. She has some power. I think it would be a good matchup. You see what they end up using when both of their game plans are kind of similar.
See, for me, I feel like it's a little bit too soon for a rematch. I mean, why not give her Araujo, Andrade, Caitlin, Sermonara? Like, why not?
Oh, where's Caitlin been?
I honestly, I think she's trying to have a baby from what I've heard.
So her last fight was March against Macy Barber.
Yeah, she's still ranked number 7. I mean, I could see that fight happening. I think that would be kind of a cool matchup.
Yeah, I think it would be a fair one too. Like not too big of a step up, but if she gets that win, she'll really be able to like contest for a top 10, somebody up in the top 5 for her next fight. Yeah, I think that would be a good matchup too because again, you have someone with a strong grappling background in Caitlin, and she has more striking, I think, or just seems more fluid on the feet than someone like Jasudavicius. So we'll see like how that striking continues to develop, if she's gonna like start stepping in, throwing a little bit more before she goes for those takedowns. I think that's the one thing holding her back is that she is a little stagnant on the feet. Like she has to set those takedowns up a little bit more against someone who has more experience like Caitlin Sermonara. So we'll see what happens with that. I'd love that matchup. I think that would be a good proving ground fight for her. And, Caitlin, she's fought for the belt. So it'll be a good one. It would be a good one under Jasudavicius' belt if she is able to get that win. Let's see. What should be next for Blanchfield from Astro K? We were talking about that earlier, but I like the Grasso matchup.
I like it too.
I think it's actually a smart call out, even though people are talking shit. But I think if she were to,
it's not their career.
It's not their career. But I feel like if she were to call out the winner of Fiore Shevchenko, she'd probably still get Grasso.
Yeah.
Like I don't think she changed the web of time or anything. There's no butterfly effect that's happening by her calling out something more likely.
Yeah. And people are going to talk anyways.
Yeah, they're always going to talk. Play Voltage, one of our members, should have read your question first. Play Voltage says, his question, does going up a weight class affect your movement a lot? Also, why does Ivana Petrovic so successful with all her wall smush game? Thank you. Love yas.
We love you too.
Because you're a member, you can ask 2 questions. Just for you. Going up a weight class affect your movement a lot? I think it can. I think it's different when you're fighting with more weight on you. You might, like, if you're really light on your feet at a lower weight class, you feel more springy. You feel like you can float through air. When you go up a weight class, you might feel a little more heavy, a little more flat-footed. You're moving more mass than you're used to at a fast rate. So I don't know. I feel like when it comes to cardio, maybe you end up sitting on your punches a little more. You end up just being a little lower to the ground. I don't know. That's how I feel when I come from being at fight weight to being at like walk around weight. So I feel like it would be similar to going up a weight class. But what do you think?
I think it depends on the body type, the person, how much weight they're cutting to get down versus, if it's more of a healthy weight class, if you're going up. I think it just all depends on the individual and where their comfort is. Yes, you're going to notice a little bit of a difference depending on if you were, a bigger frame cutting down lower and now you have some healthy weight on you. I think it'll just depend, and it's more of like an individual basis.
And I'm assuming they're talking about Rose with this. So do you think her movement is different now that she's at a bigger weight class?
I don't think she's put on that much mass to where she's completely different. I think that she has to fight differently for sure. I think she's trying to plant a little bit more, land a little bit harder shots. She has to worry about moving bigger bodies and dealing with the impact of bigger bodies hitting her. So I think those are still adjustments that we're seeing being made. But from, when we talked to her, when we interviewed her, she spoke to, enjoying putting the weight on and adapting a little bit more. I think she is still a little bit smaller of a frame, and I think she could still probably go down easily just like Hebus does. But in this case, I don't think that the extra weight is hindering her. I just think that it's the different weight class that has to her body and style have to adapt to.
And also, why was Ivana Petrovic so successful with her wall smush game?
Well, she had really good placement with her shoulder, and she was keeping what's Hoff. How do you say her name?
Horth.
Sorry, my bad.
Horth. I am Horth.
She was doing a good job of keeping Horth flat, and that could be because of her technique or because Horth was not well versed in cage defense. I think that it may have been a combination of both. Horth allowing herself to have her back flat and Petrovic having just good position and not allowing Horth to cut those angles that she needed.
Yeah, I think it was like a lack of experience on Horth's part for that first part, just getting smushed against the fence. And I feel like a lot of times if you're not used to that fight, then it can be a little surprising when you feel it for the first time. But at the same time, you have to do something with it,
Yeah.
So I always feel like, going back to my Ricci fight, there was a lot of wall smushing where, that shoulder pressure is really important. If you're able to get that shoulder in a good spot where it's just hard to lift it out, like you get it wedged right under like a part of you, and it's just so hard to move that wedge that it takes a lot of energy. And by the time you get their shoulder pressure moved out, they have another shoulder.
Yeah, they shifted. They adjusted.
That they could put on the other side of you and that same little notch on your body and make it really hard for you to just wiggle away. So I think, just having a good awareness of that can allow you to really like drain the clock and get that control time that, may or may not win you a fight. Sometimes it works out. In Ricci's case, sometimes it doesn't. In Petrovic's case, you have to do something with it. Like you have to land punches, you have to land knees, and unfortunately, when you try to land punches, that's when the pressure comes off, and then your opponent is able to move. So the wall smush game, it's kind of a gamble. It's like the lay and pray game. You're not sure what the judges are going to see if you don't land any damage with it, but it's a good way to slow the fight down, maybe make your opponent a little more tired so you can do something after you smush.
Yes.
One thing I thought was funny, Petrovic had a really good position as Horth was like kind of building up, trying to get away, and then she stopped. And she looked at the ref and she was like, oh, saying something to the ref. And I'm guessing like a hand was stuck.
It looked like her bra was coming down.
Yeah, her bra was coming down. And it made me laugh because I'm like, if those two girls were like, if they switched positions and Horth was coming up and her boob was about to pop out, I feel like she would have let it
She
hang.
would have let it.
Just something about her.
Different types.
Something about her. I felt like Petrovic had her lashes on. She was like looking all cute, you know, and I'm like, Horth would let that thing hang out the entire fight for a good position.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, and I agree.
That's what I would do. I'm like, dude, like, you're on the back. You are on her back. She's standing up. You can jump on her. You can break her down. You can get the body lock. There's so many things that you can do. And you can do it all while hiding the fact that your boob is out.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a good position to just you know,
different priorities.
hide your boob under her shoulder blade. No one will see it.
It could have started you off for an OnlyFans.
Yeah, and then hey, check this out. If your boob pops out and you have body lock, oop, what do you do? Pull that thing right down. Just pull it down right there.
That's why I wear two bras.
That's why veterans never have to worry about that because we know all the ways to get our boob back in the bra without anyone noticing.
Been there, done that.
Now, ass is back in your pants. That's a different story. But I digress. All right. We'll do one more fan question and then we'll talk about a couple more fights. So let's see. Oh, that's not a question.
What was it?
You had a dream about me last night.
Oh, what were you dreaming about? I feel like we get to ask fans questions.
Yeah, please explain the dream in the comments.
Was it of the wet variety?
No, the Stevie J Mac. Hopefully, wasn't jacking off in this dream.
I might have been.
Okay. Mike 714 on Instagram. It's not a question, it's more of a statement, but he said that whack ass judge from the main event.
Oh.
There was one judge, Eric Colin.
Yep.
And funny, his name is Colin because his judging of the first round was a piece of poop.
It was pretty shitty.
Shitty judging from Eric Colin. And you know, I feel like we're being a little harsh because usually the judging is a lot worse than what we saw last night. Last night I felt like the judging was pretty fair. The close fights that people didn't agree with, nobody was screaming robbery. It was just they were close fights. So, but still, if we want to nitpick, Aaron Colin, how did you score round one for Albazzi?
Oof.
How?
That's a great question.
Was there a moment?
Even Sal D'Amato got that one right.
Sal D'Amato
clearly got it right.
They were on point last night. They were like, "Hey, man, people are on to us. We need to get our shit together. We are gonna we're gonna score according to the book, according to the rules.
Got to throw them off the scent."
Yeah. And then next Apex card, watch out.
Gotcha.
Watch out, prelim fighters. No one cares if you get robbed.
Exactly. Nobody's going to see this. Nobody's going to remember.
And we're going to make money.
Haha.
Yeah, Eric Colin, I don't know how he got round one for Albazzi. There was one round, I forget which round it was, but there was one round where Albazzi was doing a little better than he had done in the previous rounds. I think it was 4 or something. But the first round was all Moreno.
Yeah. No, I agree. I have nothing else to say.
What did he do in the first round?
I don't know.
You're on the list. He was already on the list because we've made the poop joke before, but you're still on the list. We're keeping an eye on you. We're keeping a
A brown eye?
Yeah, we're keeping a brown eye on you. A whispering eye on you. Or is this more like a whistling eye? Yeah. All right. Well, there's a couple of finishes we want to talk about before we go to our bonus.
Oh, yes.
We already talked about Jasudavicius looking vicious. And then your boy, Charles Jourdain, moved down to bantamweight.
Yes.
And put on a killer performance. So I was so mad because all the decisions up to that point have been so dull. Like all the decision fights up to that point have been so dull. And then we get a fight that I would be happy to watch 5 rounds of, and it ends in the second round.
Wah, wah.
I was so sad.
I was happy. I'm a big fan of Jourdain. I love his striking. I love the way he mixes in his grappling. I've always been a fan of his style. Henry, he's a really tough fighter, but Jourdain was just a little bit more slick, a little bit more, durable than what Henry was trying to push on him. And he ended up getting a really, really nice ninja guillotine, whatever you want to call it. But it was
modified McKenzie teen. Cody McKenzie, not Dern.
It was just it was a really, really nice transition. He stayed really patient. He got out of harm's way after being in a body lock for quite some time. He made the adjustments that he had to. And when he got Henry down, he looked to be not in a dominant position, but he just really believed in that grip that he had around Henry's head, and ended up creating space by coming up and then sitting back for it again.
Yeah.
It was very, very nice.
No, it was cool. It was like one of those weird ones, and I feel like that's kind of trending in the jiu-jitsu world right now, just being really confident with that chin strap on the head, and if you have the head controlled, just not letting go of it. Like even if your legs don't feel like they're in the right position, if you don't have a closed guard or you're not like breaking their head down, you can still sit up, get your chest on top of their head and get the finish. And he was able to do that by standing up and then popping his chest over. And it was a crazy one because it looked like Henry was about to pass. Like he was doing everything right. But just the fact that he already had that hand pushed over and sunk in that deep, like even passing to the right side wasn't going to get your neck free.
Yeah. And it's funny because this is something that coaches will yell at white belts and blue belts for. Let go of the head. You're holding onto the head for way too long. But Jourdain was a little bit more savvy in that, in his attack and his setup. So he knew what he was going for. But it is funny because normally the lower belts tend to really like grip the head. A couple of times they got it in training, so they're just really committed to it, and they end up putting themselves in really bad positions because of that, really wanting to hold on to it. So it was nice to see that slick setup and that commitment to it.
Yeah, and the clinch sweeps in that fight were so nasty.
They're beautiful.
That's what I was saying. Like I could watch 5 rounds of that because just watching, and they were both doing it. They were both hitting like these knee trips on the inside and like these foot sweeps on the outside, getting really big throws, jumping, covering the head. Like I was just so impressed with everything that was going on in that fight. And then Jourdain was just throwing flying shit the whole time, spinning shit. Like he really had Henry like fighting in the gutter, like they were going at it. It was a really impressive fight to watch. I'd watch it again. And yeah, it just sucks because I do really like that style that Henry brings, but Jourdain showed that at bantamweight he's a different monster. And I think what we've seen from him before, he has these little flashes of brilliance, but then a lot of times they get snuffed away because the people that he was fighting were able to just get on top of him, like shut him down a bit, slow him down a bit. He's not able to do his fancy stuff. I think at this lighter weight class, you're seeing that lighter on the feet thing that we were talking about. You're seeing him being able to move someone, getting that big clinch sweep. Like that's not something that happens when you're fighting someone bigger than you. Yeah. Like they're just gonna hurt your foot, It's hard to off balance someone that's a lot bigger than you, but he was able to get a lot of the stuff that he's good at, a lot of the tricky stuff that he's good at, because he's fighting at a lower weight class. So that's cool to see, and I'm excited to see what he does next in the bantamweight division, because man, that was an awesome performance. Well, yeah, I think we should head over to our bonus section. We still got a couple of fights to talk about. We definitely got to chat about that Justin Stolfitz fight.
Oh, that was sick.
That was really cool.
He's mean.
And Yusuf Zalal, man, his striking to grappling is something that every fighter should aspire to be able to do. So we'll talk about him and his journey, getting cut and coming back into the UFC. Talk a little bit about the heavyweight division and how they make the women's division look good every time we get a fight like the Romanov one. And, Jess will talk about her last fight a little bit, since you guys have been leaving really sweet messages on the page and just sending your love. So we'll talk about all that in the bonus. If you want to be our favorites and you want us to answer your questions faster, then you can join and become a member and support the pod. Or you can wait till Tuesday and you'll see the bonus then. But members get to watch the bonus right now, so we'll see you on the flip.
See ya.